Yes, sir. Like we always do about this time, whatever this time may be. We on the Diving Deeper podcast with your man Jay Drews and Handsome Mandela. Shout out to my man Eddie P and my man Special guest, we got my man Old Man Ali today with us. Yes, indeed. And we gonna dive deep today, as we always do. You dig? Let's go.
All right.
Shit, how you fellas feeling, man?
Feeling
Man, freaking tastic. How about yourself, my brother?
Oh man. Shit, you already know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, brother. That's what we got on topic for today.
Ooh wee. Well, hopefully we got an interesting one today. I figure we dive into some works from Mr. Thomas Harris, American author of the Hannibal series. I thought we'd dig into a little about the pathology, is that what it's called, Tate, of psychopaths and sociopathic type personalities and just all kind of mind fuckery on that level. And then I thought we'd segue into an interesting bit on, substances, helpful, harmful, legalize, decriminalize. What's the answer? Is there an answer yet? That's what we got lined up here. So without further ado, how's everybody out in the audience? I hope y'all are doing well. Let's get to the topics at hand. So Old Man Ali and I had a discussion, and he had expressed some interest in Mr. Harris's work. And I've only seen the movies. I apologize. I haven't had made the time, I should say, to read the novels, but I'm very interested, just based on some of the information I've come across over the years, to double back, so to speak, and get into those works.
Yeah, man. Thomas Harris was a absolute genius at writing the most insane people that you would ever come across. I mean, he's the guy that came up with Hannibal Lecter, Buffalo Bill, the dragon. What was it? The dragon.
Red Dragon.
The Red Dragon, and let's see, there was a couple more. Well, of course, the FBI profilers and the people that chased him. Of course, those people were almost as fucked up in those books. I guess you got to be a little off to think off and catch those people that are off. Those books were deep, man. Those books were deep, especially how they laid out Hannibal Lecter. He's absolute genius, photographic memory, and pure evil, but in a respectable way. It was weird. He was of course a physician. He's going through medical school. He's pretty much checking out the medical text from the library, reading it once and acing everything, that photographic memory shit. And then finding people that he considered free range rude, and eating them and like cooking them like he was Gordon Ramsay and feeding them to, dinner parties of like, it just like you can't imagine how sick this motherfucker is. You know, it's like you've got people coming to his house in tuxedos and he's feeding them human meat, you know, and
Yeah, I was
everybody's like thanking him. You know, it's like, oh man, this is wonderful. Like, oh yeah, yeah, those are tenderloins. Uh, you know, we call those oysters. You know, that's from that this part of the back right here. You know, it's just weird, man, weird.
yeah,
And you know, you shoot out that text message earlier. Like I had no idea these dudes were based on real people.
real people. Yeah, I came across a Rolling Stone article, and I'm not a photographic memory type, but I've always been pretty close. And this article I read back, I want to say in '96, I was working at the radio station in Youngstown. WRBP and WGFT was like two, FM AM stations. And I came across this article and it just blew my mind. It started out talking about Manhunter, you know, uh,
Mhm.
80s movie, which was like the movie prequel to Hannibal,
Right.
and it dealt with Buffalo Bill. And then come to find out he's based on, a real life person uh, who was
But
executed.
Manhunter was based on the Red Dragon, I think.
Dragon, sorry, yes, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Francis Delorhide, I think it was the character's name.
my bad. Yeah, it was the Red Dragon. Sorry. Yeah, Buffalo Bill was in the beginning of Hannibal.
Right.
Mhm. Absolutely bananas. Let's see if I could share the screen. Let's see.
Be on them levels, or you got to have some type of sick, com- twisted comedic shit in you to feed people human parts at dinner parties and them not know that shit.
Yeah.
That's
See,
some shit, man.
Yeah, that's the fella.
that's
That's the
Buffalo Bill.
that's the real Buffalo Bill.
Now, was his backstory pretty similar to the movies and the books?
Well, let's explore. See, Buffalo Bill. Can you all see this? Can you all still see the?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So they are based on three real life killers. His Ed Gein, who skinned his victims, Ted Bundy, who tricked his victims with a cast on his arm, and Gary Heinrich, that's the Buffalo Bill character, kept his victims in a pit, raped them, and abused them repeatedly.
That's
Jesus.
foul.
Yeah, it's
Six,
hard to imagine. Like you mix three serial killers together, and he is the secondary villain in the book.
Right. Right.
right? Yeah, yeah,
You know, it came out to what in the books he was one of Lecter's patients, right? That's how that came about. Was that he was a former patient of Lecter's, and that's how he helped. Uh,
yeah.
this dude. So yeah, I reading an article about Thomas Harris. I guess he was kind of playing the role of Clarice Starling. I mean, but he was a journalist
Mm,
running through a prison and interviewing inmates, and he come across the this Mexican serial killer that he ended up basing Hannibal off of. Um, that's just fucking wild.
I'll say, yeah. Hannibal's based off of Alfredo Valle Trevino. He was known as the Wolfman of Nuevo Leon, former physician from Monterrey, sentenced to death for murdering his lover, Jesus Castillo Rangel, and mutilating his body. He said he was also suspected of killing several hitchhikers in the late 1950s and early 1960s.
Mm, mm, mm.
Harris met him while working as a journalist on assignment in Nuevo Leon State Prison, where he was interviewing another inmate.
Hello, Clarice.
Creepy. So creepy. Wow. Yeah, man.
I mean, that kind of makes sense. Where that mental health facility that they showed uh, in Silence of the Lambs, that deep dark dungeon, that looks like a Mexican jail.
Yeah.
Wild shit, bull.
Right.
Wild.
Man, that's insane, man. And come to find out, this guy was released uh, after serving a sentence. You
Right.
yeah. I mean, you got multiple bodies on you, and they still let you go. But
Oh,
I
they're
don't.
just hitchhikers. Boys will be boys. I know you justify it. I just don't. Yeah, I don't understand that either.
Yeah,
Ain't
I
no
don't know if the American prison
ain't no
system is.
shit, bull.
Yeah, I don't know if the American justice system is too brutal, or like the Mexican justice system is too lenient. I I don't know. It seems like you want to keep Hannibal behind those bars, especially
Could be
once you
some
get a
more.
taste for human meat.
You
You
would
know you
think that shit, son. You would
you
think
can't
that.
you can't shake that shit. I mean, you know try becoming a Muslim and giving up pork.
Oh,
If you're a freak for human flesh, you can't get that up.
yeah.
That shit probably
Isn't
tastes
isn't that
delicious.
connected? Isn't that connected to what they call mad cow's disease? Isn't that what that comes from? When
Uh,
something eats its own kind?
no, no. What is
Not
that? Uh, Creutzfeld's Jacob's disease or something. It's it.
mm,
I'm probably fucking this up, but you end up eating uh, brain matter, and it ends up fucking the person up and give them like tremors. So you end up like with Parkinson's like symptoms. So like for what movie was that? Where Denzel was walking through the desert, he was trying to carry the last Bible or some shit. The Book of Eli. When they
Eli.
asked him to hold out his hand to see if he shook, they were looking for signs of cannibalism.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, and that goes back to that. Yeah, some uh, specific type of encephalitis.
Got it. Got it. Wow.
Yeah, I haven't really looked that up because that's gonna fuck with me if I don't.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to see what we can pull up more on this character. They call Dr. Salazar. Dr. Salazar. Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm pronouncing this wrong. Creutzfeldt Jacob's disease is caused by abnormal infectious proteins in the brains called prion.
Hmm. I got something even more unbelievable.
Mm.
He said, although Trevino was given the death penalty for his crime, his sentence was commuted, and he was released from prison circa 1980 after 20 years. Once free, he resumed his practice as a doctor. He died of cancer in 2009 at age 81.
Is it that uh, the like Mexican Medical Association doesn't believe in like, morals or ethics? You can't take the Hippocratic Oath and still eat, motherfucker. You know, like you just can't eat flesh and you know say I will do no harm.
Maybe so. It was just you just can't eat your patience.
I guess you can rationalize anything if you think about it long enough, right? Yeah.
I mean, shit. Fuck it. You
Yeah.
never know.
Wow, that's fucked up. How would you get patience? Like if
That part.
you had to be
Oh,
well
shit.
known for
Think
eating
about
your
it. Think
boyfriend.
about it, bro. He might have motherfucking changed his name or some shit. Motherfucker. Hey, I'm new here. I've been gone for 20 years. I ain't got no motherfucking Yelp or no shit down there like that.
Bro.
Bro. I'm just saying, bro.
Oh
shit.
Can I read something? I know
Man.
Gary Heinrich was every bit as twisted as the infamous movie character he inspired, Buffalo Bill from The Silence of the Lambs. He used his victims as sex slaves, forced them to torture each other, and even ground one of their bodies up and forced the other woman to eat her flesh. And yet, to the 50 members of his Philadelphia congregation in the 1980s, the real life Buffalo Bill killer was Bishop Heinrich, head of the United Church of the Ministers of God. They would meet every Sunday inside his home to hear his unique spin on the Bible.
See, that's some bullshit right there. You got sick, twisted motherfuckers like this in the 80s in Philly, but yet they gonna bomb on the Move House in Philly. But we ain't gonna speak on that. We gonna speak on this right now. That's a whole other episode.
It gets better. They could have never imagined that in the basement under their feet, Gary Heinrich, the real life Buffalo Bill killer, had 6 women chained up in a pit. The troubled young life of Gary Heinrich. Gary Heinrich, born in Eastlake, Ohio,
Bruh.
on November 22nd, 1953.
What's up with Cleveland motherfuckers keeping bitches in their house, in their basement?
Bruh.
What was that? That Castro dude?
Tim. Yeah. Anthony Sowell.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Anthony Sowell.
Shit. Motherfucking fucking, and didn't, how far was that from, that wasn't too far from Bath, bruh. Jeffrey Dahmer. Bruh.
Right.
Right.
An apartment on
Bruh.
Allegedly, some people took me to that apartment. I was in it, and then they told me after we were in there that was his apartment at one time. Where the refrigerator was with all the body parts.
Not body parts, just dicks, right? Dicks and heads.
Wow.
Is that why they call it? Is that why they call it head cheese?
That was a disturbing dude too. Yeah, that was because he was like drilling holes in people's heads and dripping acid in there, right? Trying to create sex slaves, sex zombies, right?
Yeah. Yep, the Asian boy that escaped. I hate to say just Asian, but I can't remember his full nationality. But he escaped, and the police stopped him and asked him what was going on, and he told them, and he showed up like, "Oh man, can't remember if he said he was a stepson or something. He made up a story, and they sent him back with him."
Yeah, I saw that part of the movie.
He had a hole in his skull at the time when he had escaped. It's sad, tragically sad. Yeah, this dude here, there was a guy in the where I used to work, the institution that I was employed at, and he used to come up and be so polite and try to talk to us at the guard desk. Until one day, one of the old heads said to me, "Hey man, don't let that dude come around me. Don't talk to him. He's like, I know you don't really know who these people all are, and you have no reason to check his file, so you probably don't even know what his jacket says." Well, I found out what his jacket said, and I found out why they told us not to just generally search that. Yeah, he had a woman and her daughter caged in his basement, and he would read the Bible to them before he would, abuse them. And he always wanted to discuss the Bible. He always wanted to debate the Bible. He was obsessed with it. He had every kind of Bible you could think of. He had the translation at his bedside in his locker box.
That's crazy as hell.
And they tried to like justify it one day, and like his bunkmate came and got me. He said, if you don't get this guy to F away from me, he's trying to justify this. He said, I'm about to lose it. He said, there's no reason why he did that woman and her daughter that way. And he's talking about people don't understand discipline. What discipline involves your hog knuckle?
I'm sure you can justify anything, especially when you toting Bibles. I mean, we've seen people use religion over the years to justify the most horrific fucking things on this planet.
Man, and I just seen an article about some shit involving that type of shit, son. So yeah, they can justify that shit. They can do that. Don't know how, but they can justify it. Don't make it right, but they can justify it when it helps them.
You had slave owners and abolitionists using the same fucking book to back both sides of the cause.
Man, I've said those exact words to family members.
Yeah. Never lose your faith.
Right. So this is what inspired his faith. Eventually, he learned how to control people. After a rough start in his life, he suffered through an abusive childhood during which he claimed his father abused him and even mocked him his bedwetting, by forcing him to hang his soiled sheets for the neighbors to see. So that made him kidnap 6 black women, force them to eat at least one of them, and abuse and torture one another when he wasn't having intercourse with them. Interesting, right?
There's something in the water in Cleveland. That's that Lake Erie water.
I always said that water tasted funny, boy.
They say it's something in the water in Philly too.
Yeah, there's something in all the water. Fuck yeah, they just had what a latex pipe burst, or a pipeline carrying latex product burst and go into the Delaware River. Is that accurate?
Yeah,
I mean, I kind of skimmed over this shit a couple of days ago. I
saw that shit, man. It was talking about that. That shit's nuts.
Wow.
Yeah,
except in their water. Yeah, I just saw that.
But the bad thing is that water wasn't clean before that fucking pipe burst either. And like I've said this a million times before, and I'll say it a million times again, man. When like annually or semi-annually or quarterly, your water department sends you out an assessment of the chemicals in your water, and it will show you acceptable levels of, like, for real toxins, like DDT, shit you can't get rid of. We grew up with DDT. That was like the big scary chemical when we were kids. That was the one that they were getting rid of in the 80s. But now we have dioxins and other forever chemicals like PBAs and shit. It's like it just keeps getting worse. And they're forever chemicals. That shit just layers up. I mean, just imagine the shit that's in the Mahoning River. I mean, we had unregulated sludge from the steel mills going into that shit for years. And we all know how that town operates, man. I mean, one hand, kind of washes the other. And if everybody turns a blind eye to it, those EPA regulations go out the fucking window real quick, especially when, you have to pay to dispose of things properly. And that's the reason why, like, the Youngstown, that the river line going through, the cities are have so much abandoned property, is because it would cost so much money to clean those sites up before they're usable again.
It makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, you remember at one time you couldn't go by that river without that shit stinking up to all hell.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. A
Yeah.
lot of it was the fish that was washing up dead. I
Yeah.
seen people pull fish that was deformed up out of there just to prove that there were deformed fish in it. You know,
Mhm.
Oh, Blinky.
right?
Remember that shit from The Simpsons? Oh,
Yeah.
Blinky with the three eyes.
Hell yeah.
Man, that's. I mean, that's for real shit. Years ago, I read a study on Jesus. What was it? Manganese being a byproduct of the steel, manufacturing steel, and how high levels of manganese can collect in your brain and actually make you violent. That's like one of the side effects. Who the fuck is that?
One of his victims,
Oh, damn.
one of Heindick's victims.
Was this a before or after photo?
Might have been during.
After possibly it talks about her
Oh,
time with the real life Buffalo Bill killer during an interview.
Jesus. Man, he looks like he been through some shit.
That's a she.
Wow, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, was he doing the same thing where he was starving folks just to get a better hide off him?
Yeah. Well, he wasn't the one skinning them. They combined. Remember Ed Gein with Heindick and Bundy.
Okay.
Uh, but they're asking whether she was a victim or a possible accomplice. Because he said she was a prostitute that was lured into his home by the promise of money in exchange for sex. While Rivera was getting her clothes back on, Heinrich came up from behind and choked her, then dragged her down into his basement and shackled her limbs together with chains and sealed the bolts in with super glue.
That's better than Loctite.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, man.
That is fucking insane.
This stuff like that makes me hope or wish that there is a hell, at least for
Motherfuckers like that.
fuckers like that, man. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man. It all sounds like some R. Kelly shit.
I don't think he got that far yet, but it could have been headed there. And I don't think people realize that like there's levels, and I hate to say this like I know it, but like I can imagine. I don't have to know from experience or from being around or talking to someone. You can watch them progress in not only their perversion but their delusions. You know what I mean? Somebody that feels like they have the right to do that to somebody else, and then to do it to more than one person, and then all people that fit this particular description, or gender or whatever, and it probably just progresses on.
Hmm. Hey, man, when you worked in the prison, were you around like murderers or just like it?
Yeah, and then some of them were the nicest people in the world.
And that was my next question. It was, it seems like when you watch interviews of serial killers, especially like Ted Kuklinski, and yeah, that was the Iceman, right? The Iceman was Ted Kuklinski, right?
Yeah,
And how well some of these people are composed. Uh, uh, you would expect madness after witnessing, or not witnessing, but being made aware of some of the crimes that these people have committed. You would expect the Migs, not the Hannibal Lecter. You would expect the guy butt naked, throwing fucking, bodily fluids all over the walls, and not the person with perfect grammar and great posture and the perfect gentleman. It's, I guess that plays into it too, where being manipulative.
That's a psychopath, though. A psychopath is a person that they said is calculated and cold-blooded and stuff. All their moves are calculated and stuff, and they're evil, but their mannerisms aren't what their crimes are. So they basically pick out their victims and stalk them and everything. So they know what they're doing before they do that shit. Everything is basically premeditated.
And they get off on the deception.
Mm-hmm.
When they talk about it, oh yeah, he thought I was calm and he thought I was passive.
Yeah.
He saw the way I was dressed, and I could tell the way he looked me up and down. He assessed me as weak. They'll say things like that, but boy, did I get him.
Yeah.
And it just the whole catching a person off guard, and the shock and awe of and the horror of what the fuck is about to happen.
That's that real crazy shit.
I mean, that's why one of my favorite scenes from Hannibal was when they took the mask off of him and he bit that guard in the face that was talking trash to him the entire day and jabbing him in the ribs and doing all that kind of, unnecessary extra stuff because of what he had heard he had done. He's so appalled, but look at you. Who's, that's why I love the movie Jordan Peele, the Alien movie. You guys seen it?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna check it out though. I'm talking about Nope.
Nope.
Yeah.
Brilliant, in my opinion. It's strange, I will admit, and for some people a bit uncomfortable at first to get into. But what he's covering is that whole concept of like how quickly we'll judge another thing or person as an animal and don't look at the things that we've done to creatures or things that we thought were less deserving of what we would demand for ourselves. And it's just an interesting makeup of these people.
The way that brother make movies and the way his thought process is, like, I'm gonna definitely check his movies out because the way he came up with Us was just crazy. Just the thought process of that alone is crazy as all hell. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely check that Nope out.
Got to.
That dude came out of the blue with some fantastic horror movies, man. How do you go from comedy to that?
He's been working on that for years. And I mean, not to be funny, but even comedians joke about how almost funny that team is, because they're hit or miss. They do some things that I think are brilliantly hilarious, and then turn around and do something that's kind of like, huh? But the mindset, creatively, you can't knock them. You can't knock them. I mean, when you're super creative, sometimes you'll go too far left or too far right, or too much in the middle. But when you hit that stroke, it's brilliant. And they both have that brilliance, even as a comedic team. But I think their serious side is what really is the most intriguing.
Honestly, I just think that they just went with whatever lane that they was given at the time and just utilized that lane. And then when they got to where they wanted to get, boom, they went on and did what they really wanted to do. Because on all honesty, I think Key and Peele was really supposed to be Desus and Mero. Because I heard in an interview with Mero, they was pitching something to this. He was pitching something to Showtime or something like that. Or he's pitching something to not Showtime, but whatever it was, it ended up being Key and Peele that was doing the actual skit that they was pitching. So I think that it was basically supposed to be Desus and Mero in realistic terms, but Key and Peele fit more the aesthetic at the time. And they just took that lane and was like, all right, well, we'll rock with this, but we're gonna rock with it until that we feel that we didn't got to where we were supposed to be, and then we're gonna branch out and do what we're supposed to do with it.
Well, that's what our main man Dave Chappelle kind of without being tactless and full of what's the word I'm looking for? Bitterness. He basically said that they took his slot. They were the answer to No More Dave Chappelle Show.
I mean, that's what we said from the jump. I said that shit.
You know, like when Dave Chappelle said that, he made it sound like Key and Peele stole his idea and they were running off his theme. You go back and you watch the original Richard Pryor show. I mean, that's where Chappelle got that shit from. You know, like these aren't original ideas. You know, like the Richard Pryor show lasted what, maybe 6 episodes or if that. But it was the Chappelle show.
They can't. Yeah, that was the whole idea. You're absolutely right, and that was the. I don't want to say insult because I'm not in that industry. I'm not in that lane. As an active observer, though, the heir apparent to that legacy and Dick Gregory's was Dave Chappelle. There's a relationship between his parents and Dick Gregory. He grew up knowing Dick Gregory. The cigarette on the stool, that's Dick Gregory. So he doesn't hide, right, his influences. But they became the new Negro. And I don't mean that in a good way, and I don't mean it in an insulting way. Because they weren't the first and they certainly will not be the last.
Yeah. The
and
product on the shelf.
And I don't begrudge them their success.
Oh, not at all.
I can't judge what their process, you know what I mean? But
not at all.
But they're brilliant actors, period. They're brilliant creative artists. I'm glad to see Jordan Peele go that way. I hope they bring back the Twilight Zone.
Most definitely.
With him producing again.
I forgot he did that. Yeah, that was dope.
I mean, the thing with that is, though, the thing is, with what they did was somebody had to fill that slot and somebody was going to fill that slot. You know what I'm saying? So it was going to get filled regardless.
Correct. Listen, the Anger Translator's classic, in my opinion. That and the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
The substitute teacher. I mean, they had some shining moments.
They definitely did. They definitely did.
Yeah.
We got up
a lot of classic skits.
We got up next.
Well, somebody we know took a trip into the jungle.
Oh, smoking on that toad dung.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
All right. We'll see. Yeah. I've been dealing with some mental health issues for quite a while. So I spent close to 23 years in emergency services in a lot of crazy places. So, some of the business engine companies in the country, war zones, multiple countries, defense contract and all kinds of shit. And, it takes a toll on you, especially when you don't get a break, and, when I finally did get a break, so everything was cool for the most part. You're able to hold it together for a while. And then I ended up getting a back injury, which, stopped me from going to work. And, I was kind of laid up for a little bit of time, and it let me reflect on a lot of shit. And oh man, it was a pretty quick downward spiral into PTSD and depression. And, it just came to the forefront. That's what you got to deal with now. Like you're not running to saving anybody. Now it's time to deal with what the fuck you've seen over the last 20 some years. And it's crippling for the most part. It will definitely throw you off. It will ruin your relationships with pretty much everyone you know. And you get to a point where you're so toxic that very few people want to be around you. And that's the point I was at. I think I hit it pretty well, for a lot of years. But I knew it was an issue. But the problem was that once you realize it's there, there's a stigma associated with it too. So that will hold you back from getting treatment. Just the stigma itself from people knowing that you're fucked up. And then on top of that, your employment is at risk once you, have diagnosed mental illness. So I started doing a lot of research into treatments, because who wants to eat antidepressants? I watched people, use antidepressants for years, and I know that shit don't work. It's a band-aid to a bullet wound.
I agree from experience.
So when I started looking into hallucinogens, ayahuasca, DMT, psilocybin, the results from actual funded studies showed how effective this shit is. Some studies are reporting 80 to 90% effectiveness after one treatment. Like how unimaginable is that? Especially when we have a pharmaceutical industry that has no problem refilling your prescription for hundreds of dollars a month or a week or whatever the fuck it is you're on the hook for. On top of that, the industry that's built on top of that, it's not like you can go to in America, you can't walk into a pharmacy and buy antidepressants over the counter, even though that's where we should be in the society, right? You have to see a healthcare practitioner. You have to pay a copay. Then you have to go see a pharmacist, and you have to pay that copay. And then you're dealing with whether or not you're getting the real deal or you're getting the generics, depending on your plan. There's levels to that shit, and everybody's got their hand out. And the person that loses is the patient.
Yep.
So looking into these treatments, into hallucinogens, you find out that ancient civilizations have been using these things for years as like maintenance. There are some tribes in the Amazon that will sit in a circle while they do ayahuasca, an edible version of DMT, and that includes children, and it includes everyone from like right out the womb to the motherfuckers with one foot in the grave. Everybody gets a hit, and it's exercise for your soul, So I found a place in Tulum, Mexico. The place is called the Bufo Alvarez, whatever the name of the fucking toad is, whatever the scientific name of the Sonoran Desert toad is, Bufo Alvarez Sanctuary in Tulum. And I apologize for fucking that name up because it is a legit organization in Tulum. But I found this place. they had guided trips, hallucinogenic trips. You sit down with two shaman and a TP, and they measure out a dose, and they guide you through your experience. And the whole session, the entire session is about an hour. The actual psychedelic trip is about 20 minutes. And there is nothing that I've ever experienced like this. It's one hit pretty much, and you are not inside of your body anymore. Now, I did not experience this, but a lot of people have repeated that they have outer body experiences. I don't remember really, seeing a body laying on the floor, and me being with, me being with the spirit realm and Black Panther and everybody. But I can tell you, it was like having your psyche on a bungee cord, and it's snatched out of your body, and you're gone, and then you're rapidly thrown back into your body, and you're different. The world is warped. Your senses are off, and after your 20-minute trip, the next 40 minutes you're just sitting there trying to collect yourself, trying to piece reality back together. It was like having my brain unplugged for a few minutes and then plug back in, that hard reset that you would do to an iPhone. After 20 minutes, every stress that I had was gone. It completely changed, man. I mean, you really see the world differently. Since the experience, I haven't wanted to have a drink. I haven't wanted to smoke anything. And the people that know me know that I lived in a bong for years, just trying to cope. Just trying not to lose my shit on folks.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm a different cat, man. Definitely seeing things different, and I'm actually thinking about going back down there and taking another trip. Because I didn't remember a few moments of mine, and I think I missed something. So I kind of want to go back. The first time was treatment. The second time is going to be like an expedition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna do it again. So if anybody's willing to roll, we set up an appointment, man. It's legit. It's legit. I actually got the entire experience videotaped. So, if anybody wants to watch it, it will be for sale on Rareable as an NFT.
Word. Yeah, that's real dope. I mean, honestly, I think that's something, especially in Black males, that's something that we all need, that hard reset. Seriously. Especially if it's something that's going to do something that's going to change you for the positive. Yeah, I think that's something that we all need. Seriously.
Yeah, there's a lot of research going into microdosing this stuff. So like with DMT, I mean, that is an extremely powerful hallucinogen, and it definitely disassociate you from your body. But a lot of people are finding relief with microdosing. So if they get those psychedelic mushrooms and they're just taking little pieces where you're not fucking tripping balls, but it's just taking the edge off. People are finding that way more effective than antidepressants.
I have come across people that have this part,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what's there in there.
What's that? DMT or? Wow, that's gangster. That's gangster. I don't know if I could do that, man. I don't know if I can do that all day. But what's crazy is like
I don't know.
when you watch
I haven't tried it.
when you watch the video of my DMT experience, like the shaman, you know, they took a hit too, and there were only 2 shaman working at this fucking place, and they worked 8 hours a day. So from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock at night, you know, they passing that pipe with whoever walks in that fucking teepee, and that's gangster as fuck. Man, like I don't, that's hard to comprehend right now. Like I couldn't imagine tripping balls like that all goddamn day. But these people were normal as shit, man. I mean, like they were actually down to fucking earth, man. I mean, they were some of the most cool and calm and collected folks that like really understood what the fuck you were going through. Like we're sitting in that TP, and after my deal, which you can watch, man, and like I didn't realize it, but I guess I was screaming for like 10 minutes. Yeah, I had no idea what was coming out of my mouth.
Releasing that shit, man.
Yeah. And you know, like when I came back out of my trip, you know, me and that dude just looked at each other, and he was like, "Yeah, you got what you need." He didn't say a word. We looked at each other, and he nodded like, "Come holler at me when you walk out," you know. And he just left me, you know, just to relax for a minute, you know, collect myself. But that motherfucker knew, like, hey, you've been through some shit. I know what the fuck you've been through. Yeah, it's that head nod that you give other black people when you see them, you know, in places where ain't no fucking black people. You know, it's that. It was so fucking off, man. But yeah, if you think that you go in there and this is a fucking dope house or something, it's not like that, man. Not at all. It's legit fucking help.
You know,
That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
I mean, the place that you were in too, just there's energy centers, you know, all over the planet. My friends of mine and I call parts of the grid, like the original grid, because you have the overlays, you got the concrete jungles, you got the power lines, you got AI stuff that we wouldn't have called AI until now, right? But it's been there for past at least 60 years. Added over top of the, you know, overlay over top of the grid. So down that way, they call certain energy centers, they call them wakas, like energy ley lines. So you could imagine some of these people going generations back, that's all their family did was protect those ley lines spiritually. And even the plant life and the things that contribute to experiences like yours of being cleared or healed from past traumas, or able to see into other realities. It's just always been interesting to me as I would read on these substances. They call them hallucinogens, when in fact they actually connect you with what I would consider as a spiritual oriented person, the real world. Like a lot of what we deal with, the reason it's so traumatic is our psyche is contained in this shell, and we're forced to witness things from a person point of view, when some things we're supposed to be an active observer, so we're removed from the emotion behind it, and it's just all compounded constantly. I don't know if I'm making sense to y'all, or you know, but
Nah,
Yeah, I got you.
to me,
all
what it
happening at
sound
once.
what it sound like you saying is what they trying to disillusion you, but basically what this shit really is, it's the real plug. Is basically what it sound like you saying.
Yeah. It that is accurate as fuck. Because what they're finding is that okay, number one, they call DMT the spirit molecule, and it's supposed to connect you with the other side, right? And they find that DMT is produced in the pineal gland in your brain, when you're
Yes.
close to death. So,
Mm.
it's there for a reason, man. It is what connects you to the other side.
I thoroughly believe it.
Yeah, I want to try that shit for real.
Me too.
I definitely do.
Yeah, have
Sooner
you
than
guys ever done hallucinogens? Like, you guys done mushrooms or
I haven't.
peyote or anything like that?
Mm-mm.
See, I
I've heard
hadn't.
of shrooms, but I haven't.
I hadn't had any of those experiences either. It just mushrooms weren't a thing for us in our area, and like the mushrooms just aren't a thing for black people in the hood, which is weird.
Yeah, I mean, when I found out how close the mushroom farms were from us,
Yeah.
like I actually met people like as I became an adult that, yeah, me and my dad are going out there to make some extra money. I'm like, oh, what? Like, yeah, if you can get out there, if you don't have a job, you go out there and pick mushrooms, both kind. I'm like, huh?
Mhm.
They're like, yeah,
Mm.
Yeah, I mean,
like
some of the
both.
most popular fucking psychedelic mushrooms growing cow shit.
Yeah,
And we're not far from that. And the other ones
yeah.
are they're fungus that grow on pine trees.
Yeah,
You know,
Mm-hmm.
the Smurf mushrooms, the Animera muscara or whatever the fuck they're called. I'm murdering these scientific names today. But yeah, the ones that look like Smurf houses.
yeah,
Um, those are yeah, they're the fungus of pine trees. That's the shit that they're saying that's where the idea of Christmas presents underneath an evergreen tree come from. These mushrooms growing, and then you eat these fucking things, and little gnomes pop out of nowhere. Like it's kind of related to Christmas and tripping and all that other shit.
yo, I just took my daughter to see Super Mario Brothers last night.
Yeah. How about that? How about that?
Every power up what turned into like some kind of mushroom.
Yeah.
And the blue mushroom, you didn't really want to get the blue mushroom because you would get a power up, but it wouldn't be like strength and speed. It'd be like something unconventional. You know what I mean? But you could still use it to your advantage. So it was just like you said, it was like a gift, like to enhance your experience or your ability to handle a situation that you're in. It's very interesting,
Yeah.
subliminally for those who are into that sort of thing.
Yeah, you eat enough of them motherfuckers, and you'll see the deer running through the woods start to fly. Yeah,
Wow.
like I understand it now. Yeah, you can trip your balls off and conceive Christmas. The ideas of all that bullshit that we associate with Christmas. Uh, yeah, seems like a bad trip or a good trip. Whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah,
The mycelium network, they're saying that the fungi grow
mhm.
almost like the way our nerves.
Yeah, it's exactly how our nerves grow. And what's crazy is with mycelium, they have it's a communication network. So if you have multiple plants in the same area, growing in the same area, it's mycelium that will connect all these plants together, and they will transport different nutrients between each other. Yeah. Like if they did a study where they starved certain plants of certain nutrients, like the plant in the top right quadrant would be starved of nitrogen, and the other one would be starved of potassium or something. And these plants would communicate with each other and give and take between each other through the mycelium network. And some of the largest organisms on this planet
Yeah.
are fungus.
Yeah.
I mean, running for
Yeah.
fucking miles.
Yeah. I mean, something about that speaks to what's the word I'm looking for? the idea that they disconnected us on purpose,
Mhm.
and then everything that they're discovering is almost a pretense about it. Like you've been knowing this because we knew it until you took it away from us, and then you wanted to figure out how we got to the point where we could know what we then knew, and now it seems like new information, but we're just remembering because you're allowing us to remember because you have something else you think you're going to put in place of it. You know, uh, I don't know how to word exactly. I'm gonna work on that. But listen, I see something else with this, and I think that's how we used to function.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think there's a certain structure in place just to keep us unassociated with the vibrations and the frequencies that are that we are supposed to receive. For instance, let me give you an example. Um, the original stealth fighters, the stealth bombers, didn't have any rounded edges. They were all angles. You walk into your house, how many you're living in right angles, and those type of things disrupt frequencies, these things that you are supposed to receive. And I'm going out on a limb, and I'm not, by no means am I a fucking physicist at all, but I think there is a purpose for indigenous people to not have angled structures that they live in. You look at the Mongols, they had yurts. You look at the Native Americans, teepees. There's a reason why there's no fucking right angles in nature, because they're not supposed to exist.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you go even further with the Iroquois, the Algonquin, Muskogee, longhouses, the longhouses, the Hogans of the Navajo, the Dene, the what do you call them, Anasazi, Hopi. Man, their structures were purposely rounded, and even their columns, there had to be a certain amount of columns, and they had to speak. The columns spoke masculine or feminine, and the energy that was supposed to be held sacred in that particular structure. I was just watching an interview with one of the Navajo elders that I like to listen to their stories, and he took them inside of a female hogan, and it's shaped like a bird's nest, literally like a bird's nest. And he was explaining that why and why the roof is even open, but not the entire roof, uh, because their heat all comes from nature. You know, the trees that they burn, the wood they burn, there has to be a smoke hole for it to go up out.
Mhm.
Um, and it's also a way where the animals, like goats, this was really kind of shocking. Sheep and goats get up on the roof. There are certain times of the year, and especially if it was like raining, rather than going inside of a barn or whatever. Like it's just totally different mindset, and it's all based on frequency.
Oh yeah, yeah, all day long, all day long. I mean, you see it with yeah. This is, well, I mean, this diving deep podcast. Like the lines along the world where we have sacred structures. They all align for a reason. Um, yeah, frequency plays a large role in everything you do. And matter of fact, um, it was Nikola Tesla that said, "Once you understand frequency, you understand everything."
Everything.
Yeah, I mean, these dudes are running experiments where if you change the frequency to if you change sound to the right frequency, you can pass things through something else. So like if we go back to our high school chemistry days or whatever, and we look at structures of atoms and how molecules are associated, making um, making elements. There's a lot of dead space in between actual like neutrons and electrons and shit. Like most of the shit that makes up solid shit is empty space. I mean, that's that. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh,
Mhm.
so what actually gives this shit like rigidity? And it's just
Frequency.
it's the frequencies that everything's held together. It's a really, really you can get into some interesting thoughts diving deep into that. Uh,
When we talked a few years back, and they took the videos down, so I won't go there again. Uh, but just to let some people know where to look, you can broadcast just about anything if you have the right frequency.
mm,
Healing, disease, happiness, joy, sadness, anxiety, depression.
mhm.
Um, and they've been studying all these different things. So it's not like I'm saying anything like it's brand new. It's just we're not always aware uh, of how far down the rabbit hole you know it can take you.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They, one minute it's a joke, and the next thing you know, it's the next fringe science thing that's taken uh, the world by storm. You know what I mean? Um, you're using frequencies to in your microwave that heat up food. It's
Right.
the frequencies running between uh, like copper that gives you electricity. You know, yeah,
Megal- Megalithic and monolithic structures, when they try to draw the diagrams of physically moving something that you can't physically move,
mm,
you can only move it with frequency. You have a several hundred ton block of something like granite, right? How did we get it from this end of the river to the next? Well, they certainly didn't put it on a raft. They didn't have a pulley system, and even if they did, that wouldn't have worked. You've already shown that, even with water involved. So obviously, they had some either really big tuning forks or very powerful tuning forks, and very specifically trained or knowledgeable individuals manning those frequencies. And then they tell us, oh, you need a key to get in that door. Well, what's a key in music? It's a tone, it's a frequency, it's a vibration. And they put it right in front of us, and some of us accept it, and some of us are like, oh, I just can't see that. Do some ayahuasca. No, I'm not saying. Open
yeah,
your mind.
yeah, uh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. And like you said, their structures are built along key locational, geographical latitudes and longitudes. I was listening to not Michael, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he was saying that latitudinal lines, no, longitudinal lines, all represent different uh, time zones. But he said they all meet at the pole. If they all meet at the poles, what time is it at the poles? He was like, "Can you answer that question?"
That's a good question, man. That's a very good question. Yeah, I got a couple of buddies that used to work down in Antarctica. I need to run that question past them, man. Like, how the fuck,
Hmm.
like, what? Because you could be in multiple time zones if you just walk in a fucking circle.
Right.
That's why I used to look at people. They're like, "It's impossible to time travel." I'm like, "Go to Chicago." They're like, "Huh?" I'm like, "Chicago's an hour behind us." I'm like, "Go from Chicago to what? To Colorado, Mountain Time Zone. You're 2 hours behind us. Drive from there to California, or fly. but we don't think of it that way because we think of one particular place. I can't go back an hour ago, right, sitting right here. You get what I'm saying, or no? Like,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get you.
I
yeah,
get
I
what you're
get you.
I
saying.
don't have a machine that can take me back an hour, rewind the time. No, that's a whole other concept. You want to rewind time, no, but travel, you got to get up and go somewhere. You got to move.
Mhm.
You'll never be in the same place you were again
Right.
because
Absolutely.
time is irrelevant to your particular location in specific, unless you're in a portal or a paradox or a wormhole, something like that. But have y'all guys heard about the little boy? I think I might have mentioned it to C Dub, but there's a little boy. He was I'm saying little boy, but I think he might have been 10, maybe 13 at the oldest. Last I saw him. In fact, he was on the channel you set up for us, saying the deep dive uh, dialogue unlimited.
Hmm.
He was talking about what they did with CERN.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Um, Jeez, what the fuck was that kid's name? Um, yeah, he's talking about how they actually split. Um,
Realities.
yeah, yeah. Hmm. What was that kid's name? Max something, right?
I want to
Um,
say, let's see, I could pull it up on YouTube, but I think it'll make me leave the studio. So let's see. Is there another way?
all right, here we go. I got it here.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I can't find this kid's name, but it just calls him World Smart Max Laughlin.
Laughlin. There we go. Laughlin.
Yeah, see, I got the video.
Interesting stuff, man. I mean, I know you came across CERN selling or offering for sale trillion dollar priced dark matter energy.
Keeping it in a jar. I mean, how the fuck do you?
Now it is funny when you think of it that way, but now imagine
I got lightning in a
what you
bottle, baby.
know,
I'm
what
sorry.
you know. No, you good. What you know about this stuff scientifically, right? If they have a metaverse where you can buy the what you call it meta real estate that a Dunkin' Donuts is built on in the real world.
Hmm.
And even though there's an owner of that property already, you can make crypto or digital currency off of the metaverse location. These people have found 19 new galaxies. They claim that they were able to peek through a wormhole and see 19 new galaxies that contain zero dark matter. So now let's just say, just for conversation's sake, no matter how ridiculous it sounds, if you were in the league of a Bill Gates and I was in the league of an Elon Musk financially, they say we have billions of dollars, but that's not counting all of our assets because they don't know about all of our assets. Because when you get that filthy rich, you're not going to make all of your assets public. They're going to have to dig through some shit to find everything that we have, right? So
Mhm.
let's say we have leverage to purchase however they are measuring this dark matter. If we can get through that wormhole that they peek through to one of those 19 galaxies, I become God. I'm gonna just set that right there. If you have dark matter in a galaxy that doesn't contain any dark matter, you're the first to bring it there. You're God. You are the beginner of the Big Bang. You are the starter of everything that is consciousness. You are a world generator.
Hmm. Interesting.
I mean, if anybody sees this in comments, correct me if I'm off base, because I really want to fully comprehend why would you be trying to sell dark matter when probably 95% of the world doesn't even understand what that is.
I don't know. I gotta get our hands on some of that black market dark matter.
Trying to tell you, we could create worlds. It's like that movie Superman Returns when General Zod and they finally escaped that disc planet or glass planet, whatever it was. It was like a shard of I don't know what you call it, but they were in prison. They found a way to get out of that, come to Earth looking for Kal El, aka Superman,
Yeah.
and they had those machines that were called world generators. They would just get them, connect them with a water source, and let them do their thing. They start converting it to Krypton-like conditions.
So y'all about to start selling black market dark matter,
Out the trunk of a fucking.
Yeah, why not?
and I'm about to start having the vials that it comes in. Gotta store that shit somewhere, baby.
Shit ain't nothing but a ball jar, baby.
However, we got to get in contact with CERN because I mean that's who's got they're the supplier apparently.
I mean, well, shoot. Well, with this American dollar becoming shit, we gotta do some kind of hustling.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing too, man. Yeah, how I don't know if the U.S. is painting itself into a corner, because they kicked all of this off by kind of alienating Russia out of international monetary transfers. Okay, and then you have a giant country like Russia that can't get rid of its exports because everybody needs US dollars and there's no way to transfer that amount of money between two countries without the swift intermediary or using Bitcoin or some cryptocurrency. So now we have the countries that want to trade with Russia not utilizing the US dollar for those transactions. So, there is a shit ton of US dollars being printed, and the majority of that money is held by governments just for international money transfer. So, it's the pocket change to buy gas. It's the money in the ashtray, of your car when you go to the gas station. It just sits there and nobody touches it until you need something, right?
Right.
Now, let's say you don't need all that change anymore. You're gonna dump that shit, and who's gonna want it? Like you can't take that jar of change out of your fucking car and walk into the gas station and then try to buy a 12-pack with it. Nobody wants that much fucking change. And essentially that's where we're going to be if let's say Saudi Arabia, China, Japan, Mexico, and more to follow, because nobody really likes the US. They deal with us because they have to. We're the bully with the biggest stick. Once everybody starts dropping that change at the same time, there's going to be too much of it on the market. And then what the Fed has to adjust interest rates, and fuck everybody over, trying to figure out a way just to suck all of that money back into rotation without it devaluing and you know making the whole ship sink. We're gonna be in a weird place, man. I don't know if there's going to be mass inflation on the U.S. dollar. I mean, like we've already seen it where last year, we went month after month where we saw 10% or more inflation per month. It might get really fucking ugly. You guys remember like maybe 20 years ago when I think it was Zimbabwe that was having an issue with hyperinflation, and it showed somebody with like a Red Rider, a radio flyer fucking wagon with $1,000 bills in it, going to buy a loaf of bread.
Mm-hmm.
Of course we're not at that point. We have debit cards and shit now, but the mass inflation, I don't think anybody's ready for that. It's going to be the largest transfer of wealth.
It's getting bad out here, bro. I mean, shit. McDonald's just motherfucking laid off motherfuckers virtually.
Yeah. They already got the 2 automated McDonald's. There's one in Texas and one in Chicago.
Yeah. It's one right here. It's one in Fort Worth. I told you I'm trying to find that shit to see if the motherfucking ice cream machine still work.
Oh, that'll work because they're only going to have technicians.
Yeah, but
you're not going to have workers. You're going to have technicians. That
McDonald's just let people go virtually, son. Virtually. They laid off motherfuckers. They laid off corporate motherfuckers.
How you think the people at Google got let go?
Man, they said that might be the new trend. They about to start letting motherfuckers go virtually, which to me it makes sense. It makes sense, dog.
Would you risk the threat of loss of life?
It makes a whole lot of sense, bro. It makes sense if you ask me. I mean, that's the way we do that shit. For real, but
it's like when movies like Total Recall, for example, when they have video conferencing before we had it on our cell phones and our
computers. Oh yeah, no doubt. Doubt.
And they're like, your services are no longer needed. Turning your equipment at this drop-off location. There's like a pod, the shit inside the little tube, and it's.
If they get to that point, motherfuckers gonna, like I said, this gonna have to start hustling. Scamisha's gonna be out crucial. We about to make that a new part of this pod. Motherfucker, Scamisha's gonna be out there slanging something crucial, like for real. Listen, we might have to do this podcast on OnlyFans for real. This cocaine might be dick gone slang, allegedly.
Allegedly.
I'm just saying shit. I hope it don't get that bad, but I mean shit, motherfucker, it's starting to get crazy out this motherfucker.
I would say, I hate to say this, but it already is that bad. It really already is. There's always a delayed effect, and the effect really is just when people finally wrap their mind around it. But it's already there. I mean, the distractions are key and monumental. I mean, indicting a president for falsification of records or fraudulent. I mean, come on, man, 35 counts.
But the thing is, that is a major distraction because I mean, if this dude has been impeached twice and ain't shit happened, you want to indict him now, dude?
Who cares, right? I mean, I hate to say it, but
that ain't shit. I mean, yeah, because ain't nothing gonna happen to him now.
Ecstatic about this. They're like, their whole day is made because they heard this news. I'm like, that's the greatest thing you heard today,
right?
I'm like, how many babies did he kill? No, I'm for real. What war did he start?
Right.
How many people got laid off because of his regime? I don't get it. But and I'm not pro one or the other because I think they're two wings of the same bird. But
that part
at the same time, Whew, man, I really think it's already that bad, and people just haven't fully felt the effects. Uh, even when they were talking about the wall, I said from the beginning, the wall's not to keep out outsiders; it's to keep the
Just to
money
keep
from
us in.
running.
Yeah.
Not necessarily
Trust.
us, but the money from running. It could be us because
Yeah, that too. That too. But I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, trust me, brother. I'm I'm witness to seeing the distraction and the delayed reaction of people because I was one of the ones whose reaction was not delayed. So
same here.
you feel me? So yeah,
Mhm.
I'm aware. I can dig it with a shovel.
Yeah, yeah.
With a shovel.
But with the transfer of wealth, that means that there'll be hopefully some new power players uh,
Yeah.
that have a different goal in mind for society.
And if not, we can always us coming from the hood, we can always spot the scammers.
Facts.
Because if we can't spot them, we cool with them.
Yeah. Facts.
Shit's crazy, man.
That's crazy. What do you think? So if the world is getting off of the U.S. dollar being the petrodollar is what everybody's been calling it,
Hmm.
just because of its status in international transfers. Uh, what's next? I mean, we saw El Salvador and Panama. And a few other countries started adopting Bitcoin, um, which seems to be a relatively smart play. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. There's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. And a lot of that shit is off the table now because the people that mined Bitcoin in the beginning, when Bitcoin was like three of them for a dime, they didn't give a fuck about what happened to their wallets and they don't have access to that Bitcoin. If you don't have access to it, it's essentially burned. It's gone. It's not even. It can never be circulated again. So we might be looking at like 19 million Bitcoin as the ceiling. So essentially, it's deflationary. People losing their wallets or losing access. Um, it seems like the most stable currency moving forward, especially when it is on uh, like you can't boycott Bitcoin. You can't embargo Bitcoin. You can't stop one person from sending Bitcoin to another person. We saw it with the Ukraine conflict, where millions of dollars was being sent between countries to support a conflict, with a back channel of money, digital money that nobody can account for. We're going to be in a weird space moving forward, especially when you have crypto trillionaires being able to afford whatever the fuck they want. So, while we have um, guys like Eric Prince, who operates what's formerly known as Blackwater, one of the largest private military organizations in the world. Um, if you have people like that backed by Bitcoin, buying tanks and mercenaries and weapons, and able to go anywhere and do whatever with whoever financially, without anybody being able to step in between them, you know you can really level a playing field, um, especially if you were a country that was coming up short on those petrodollars. If you look into what countries have been actually using uh, resources of the country, like the people's resources. Like China is communist. They have energy production facilities where they're burning coal to produce energy, and now they're plugging Bitcoin miners into that shit. And they've been doing that for the past couple of years. They're able to mine Bitcoin the cheapest from anybody because they're not paying an overhead for it. Russia did the same thing. Russia's been mining the fuck out of Bitcoin. It's things are going to get ugly.
Well, how can I put it? Game done changed. But the more things change, the more they stay the same. I mean, right now, people who think that they have money because they have cash, they're carrying around debt notes that bear the initials and serial numbers of registered families that own corporations. And they're passing around that debt note and have been passing around those debt notes as if it's actual currency, knowing that currency is always consistent with weights and measures. You know what I'm saying? So there's been an illusion since 1933.
That's all that money is an illusion.
It's just been a concept for that period of time. And when Kennedy spoke of re-establishing the gold standard and reintroducing a centralized banking system, which we heard those same things come out of the mouth of Muammar Gaddafi. Uh, and then that's when I started hearing about. I mean, I'm sure the BRICS Union idea or what's the word, alliance was already in effect prior, but that's when I really started hearing BRICS, BRICS, BRICS. You know, Brazil, Russia, Indonesia, or India, sorry, China and South Africa. They're gonna break the dollar. They're gonna break the dollar. Been hearing it for the last 12 years. Um, it's about that time, you know.
Yeah. The bad thing is once you start fucking with the money, that's when the U.S. starts fucking with you. Like you brought up Gaddafi. Start fucking with the money. You bring up Saddam, started fucking with the money. All the other Arab countries that were going to jump on that bandwagon suddenly had like protests in the streets. That's that CIA handbook for destabilizing a government.
Yeah, flash mobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's always the U.S. hand in it to make sure that we stay on top. I think we're on our way to a giant conflict. Something that World War II couldn't even scratch. World War III is going to be fucking ignorant. Just the way that international supply chains operate. We saw COVID fuck things up royally. And this was, it wasn't, changing the money system. Wow, it's gonna be unfathomable. Where the United States is moving everybody forward to the Fed Now payment system. Is that what it's called? The whole digital payment processor for the entire country, where like your bank will give your money to or process your payment through Fed Now before it gets to you, and you will process your money through Fed Now before it gets to your bank. Who would adopt that? especially when we have systems that are already in place. There is Bitcoin. Why in the world would you want to adopt something like that? I mean, just the way we see the government's control our finances now. I mean, everything's under a microscope, and they have jails with empty beds, and that is bad for fucking profit. Yeah, it's. Can you imagine having your funds frozen? Just because Tuesday some government agency decides you shouldn't have something. It's going to be weird. It's going to be weird. It's going to be extremely weird. They enact legislation that this guy, that guy, and Fred over there, they can't use their gun, their funds to buy firearms, or they can't use their funds to buy clean water. They can just fucking cut people off, and then cut people off that are associated with you. Like, you couldn't even borrow money from your friend because he couldn't give it to you because it would have to be processed through the FedNow system. I mean, yeah. There's going to be a lot of business. You're either going to be running with digital currency, or there's going to be a lot of people out there sucking cocks, and it's like some kind of weird barter system.
It's going to be called the Bambata system.
Somebody pass me a Bud Light.
Oh shit!
A hankering for some hog knuckles. I need my car wash.
Shit. No, man. Dude, yeah, that's weird, real weird. But listen, where there's a will, there's a way. They're scammers. Somebody's gonna find a way around that shit. Scammers spread like wildfire.
There was something else that I saw the other day. Was that I don't know how accurate this is either. It's as of right now, I just skimmed the news because I assume that half of it's bullshit anyway. But they said the FedNow system got hacked already. Which
See.
Here, let me see if I can find where that came from, because it might came from.
So it's a brilliant system with a 1, 2, 3, 4 password.
Same combination I have on my luggage.
My.
Yeah, maybe that was some bullshit I probably saw on TikTok or some shit. Because I can't find a news article about it.
Yeah, who would allow that? I mean, that's the most asinine idea I think I've heard ever.
Right.
I mean, there could be no other motivation than government control and oversight of everything. When we're still having the discussion of who we should have overseeing them, and realizing fully the need for that type of oversight. I mean, they can say police, but it's the police are just the guard dogs for the elite. They don't protect and serve anything or anyone else other than the elite in their property. Anytime you would shoot someone for stealing a car who poses no threat to you and is still fleeing you, and your excuse is, well, you ran away. So you shot him because he was going to steal another Bentley today, or you thought he was going to rob an old woman and take her purse. Like, I don't, Anyway, I'm sorry, but yeah, they're trying to push us towards the point of where we own nothing and we're happy. Own nothing, you have nothing. And I mean, another thing, man, gosh, ever since the whole Ovid thing with the job market, it's almost like And I was saying this from when it first started. I said they're testing people, see how far they could take the wages down. They're going to pass a new federal minimum wage, and then they're going to say, because the people who were making less than that before are be happy to make that or above, but the people who were making way more than that earn their way up are going to be knocked down a peg or two, and they're going to say you should be happy, to be working. But we never worked for the sake of just work, right? We worked so that we could earn a wage that was reasonable to us, that we considered acceptable to us. And then the blame
man, things have changed.
Started. Well, I had to do something. People were like, did you have to go to work for that amount though? Like now the rest of us that's what we're getting offered. Like, and then with the whole social crediting system, I feel like people are going to get pigeonholed like a Hollywood actor gets typecast in a role. Correct. Well, why are you asking for this? You only made that at the other place.
Yep.
That happens way more often than it should, shouldn't it?
Yeah. It's that bullshit, man.
Yeah, brothers.
Fucking shit.
Well, I thank you, old man Ally, for joining us and engineering this wonderful, wonderful platform that we are establishing.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
thanks for having me.
Shout out to you and Mercs with Mics and the whole 3PMD family.
Indeed.
Peace to Ob. Peace to Ed.
Indeed. Shout out to Dark Strange.
Hell yeah.
Big
like, share, subscribe. Peace and love to all the subs. We definitely appreciate y'all. We got a website. Come check us out. NFTs. We got merch. We got all kind of good shit for you and better shit to come. You feel me? Come holla at us. We here.
Yes, sir.
Fuck with us. You feel that?
Yes, sir.
Indeed.
Oh, and grab some of them goddamn t-shirts.
Yeah.
Yes. We got it. We got
then go wear
Mafia
Life. Was it my? I don't want to get
Mafia Yard. We got the Youngstown Pride series and the new series we got not even coming out. That's out. We got the Eddie P's Vineyard series that we got out right now. So we got a whole bunch of shit for y'all, man. We cooking.
Sharon Line, Chardonnay.
The McGuffey, we got the Sharon Line Chardonnay and the McGuffey Moscato for y'all right now. Fuck with us.
Line.
We got it, baby. We got it, baby. Come on. Shit.
Yes, indeed.
Doing things.
All right, man. Love you guys, man. Thanks for having me. And
others love, man, for sure. Come back anytime.
Holler when you get in the O area.
Yeah, I might not be staying there that long. I just checked the weather. Nigga. It's 50 degrees out in that bitch. Like, man, when it's where I'm at, anytime it dips below 80, they call it a cold front.
Yeah.
Cats is out here wearing bubble gooses and shit.
Yeah,
it's fucking bananas. Okay, maybe it's not that bad, but they are wearing jackets. But yeah, I'm not ready for that weather.
I already know.
Man. Great show, fellas.
Yes, sir.
Indeed. This has been the Deep Dive production.
We're going to continue on with parts of this discussion in future episodes.
For
stay
sure.
Stick and stay, don't go away.
That's right. Peace.
Peace.